Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking you through what we got up to in our last week in New Zealand. I'm going to be showing you clips that were mainly on the South Island, and this goes from, bear with me, I'm going to get this wrong, from the Te Waikoropupū Springs, crazy word, to the Katiki Point Lighthouse. Before we get started, if you are new and you're not already, please do subscribe, and if you do like this video, do let me know. So if you want to know what we got up to in week 4 of travelling around New Zealand, then just keep watching. I am going to create a playlist, so if you do want to see all of the other things that we got up to in the previous weeks, then you can find that in the description box below. So if you remember from my last vlog, we were staying around Nelson to see the Abel Tasman National Park, which featured in the end of that vlog. And so this is some of the other things that we got up to, which are around Nelson and Abel Tasman. So as I tried to say, we drove to the Te Waikoropupū Springs, otherwise known as Poo Poo Springs. We're just going to call it that from now on. It is a very spiritually significant place for the Maori people, and there are lots of signs up around, like you can't swim in the waters or anything. The water is so clear, like it's some of the clearest natural water I have ever seen. You can see all the way down to the bottom and it looks like you're just looking through glass. So the name of the Poo Poo Springs actually translates to the place of the dancing sands. Now this is because in some of these springs there are little vents that push water up through the sand, and at the bottom the sand kind of like dances around the surface. We then went to the Labyrinth Rocks. Now this is definitely worth a little explore. We didn't spend a lot of time around there because we were kind of short on time, but it is essentially a huge maze of these rocks that are about 2 or 3 meters tall. I think they go a little bit taller, and you can do like a maze through it. But the really lovely thing that we saw was that people had put little like toys on the rocks, so as you were going around you could see like a little dinosaur on one place, and people like recreated little scenes, so it was like its own little world in this huge labyrinth of rocks, which I thought was really cute. As we were driving from Nelson to Greymouth, which is the next place we were going to be staying, we came across Bullar Gorge. Now this is a really cool place. We found this completely by accident as we were driving along, and it is quite a big area of land that has been turned into like an adventure park. So you can do lots of things here. You can go on walks, you can go gold panning, you can go zip lining, which is pretty cool. You can zip line across the gorge. But the main way into the area of land that they have got on the other side of the Bullar Gorge, you have to cross a swing suspension bridge. I wouldn't say I was freaked out. I think I was a little bit nervous crossing anyway, because when I mean a swing suspension bridge, I don't mean one that is flat. You can see through the bottom to the water. It is all very safe, I have to say. I think as well I was very conscious that I had my camera on me and I just didn't want anything to happen. It is single file and can be very precarious when you're trying to pass someone coming the other way. However, it is a load of fun. Now I will tell you one little anecdote from this. My lovely boyfriend Chris thought it would be absolutely hilarious to, when the bridge was empty, it was just us two, to jump up and down on the bridge. I will insert the clip for you now for your enjoyment at my expense. Anyway, once you get on the other side, it's a lovely area of land. Now this place is really cool because there are actually fault lines that cross right through the middle of it. So we got some pictures where there's a sign that literally says fault line, which is really cool. However, the sad thing is that the area has suffered a lot of landslides due to this. So there was lots of information there about some of the landslides that happened, sometimes into the gorge, sometimes around the area. So after this we continued down onto Greymouth. Before that we stopped at the Punakaiki rocks. These are otherwise known as the Pancake rocks, and it is quite a big tourist attraction. Because of this, do be prepared that there will be some crowds. However, we went around 4 or 5 o'clock and this was quite a good time. There was still quite a lot of people, but you could still walk around at your own pace and you could spend time looking at things. So the Pancake rocks are essentially layers and layers of limestone rock that has formed over time. So it essentially looks like a massive stack of pancakes, one on top of the other. The platform goes out and around the rocks which are in the sea, and so you can look down and you can see where the sea has carved its way through the rocks, and you can look down almost on like little pools of the sea and the waves trying to come in and come out. So when we were staying around Greymouth, we did kind of venture out a little bit to the surrounding areas, and one place which is a really special place in my heart is Lake Brunner. Again, we found this completely by accident. We saw the sign lake and we thought, hey, let's go and have a look and see what this is. So Lake Brunner is actually the largest lake in the area, and it is so peaceful and quiet. You're bound to find somewhere along its edges a place where there's just no one and it's quiet and you can just sit there and take it all in and appreciate what Mother Nature has made. Got some absolutely amazing shots, like one where there's a boat kind of just coming into frame and the water is really blue and the sky is really blue, and I literally did like no editing to it whatsoever. So the reason we were going to Greymouth is because it was the nearest place we could find to go and see Arthur's Pass National Park. This is mainly because we were booking the night before, so we could have got a place in many of these areas that we stayed. We could have got a place that was nearer, but we just liked the spontaneity of it. So Arthur's Pass is known for some of its amazing hikes. Again, you can go on really long, like 3 or 4 hour ones, or you can do some really short ones. We decided to do the Devil's Punchbowl walk. This takes you up to the Devil's Punchbowl Falls, which you can see from the road and the information centre. It's mainly stairs and then you get to the top and you've got some boulders, but it's pretty easy. It will take you about an hour there and back, but it depends on how long you stay actually at the falls when you get there. As I said, it is a there and back trip. However, once you get to the viewing point, you can be a little bit brave. Now obviously I'm not encouraging you to do this. This is something we did because we did it on a whim, and you can do it. It's just your own safety. You're taking that into your own hands. What you can do is you can actually free climb up the rocks. Now I'm not saying it's like sheer face free climbing. It's just the boulders that are on the side of the falls, and it kind of goes up in stages, so it's not like you're really having to climb hard. It's quite a gentle climb, and a lot of people were doing it. I went up to a certain point where the rock stopped, sat on a rock, to the point you can actually feel like the spray on your face, which is quite nice. And then what you can is there is a grass bank, which is quite sheer, which you can go up, which is what Chris did. And he was able to kind of get to where the water hits kind of the rock where it kind of starts. So then we made the very long drive from Greymouth all the way down to Wanaka. And this takes you through the Mount Cook National Park. Along the way you're going past places like Franz Josef and the glaciers. You can kind of, on a good day you can see it. We could see a little bit, but it wasn't very clear. Now the one thing that I loved about this is the scenery. Throughout the whole thing you are surrounded by mountains, which is phenomenal. For someone who hasn't really gone to many mountainous areas, being surrounded by things like that is just amazing. We did make a slight detour, and it's not something where you can go through. You have to drive through, then back up, then down to Arthur's Pass and carry on to Wanaka. We went to the Hokitika Gorge, which is, in my opinion, is really worth the visit. Essentially the gorge is carved out through the hills and the mountains, and the water that is running through the gorge is bright, bright blue. This water is coming straight from the very top of the mountains, and when you go to the gorge you can do a walk that crosses the bridge on a more stable suspension bridge than at the other place, and you can walk around kind of around the edge of it. Now when I say bright blue water, I don't mean clear water. This water is opaque, completely opaque, and this is because of something called rock flour. This is stirred up and it's so light that it actually floats in the water rather than sinking, so that's why it is completely opaque. We finally arrived in Wanaka, which was a very long drive, longer than we thought it was going to be. and it had got dark, so we arrived about 10-11 o'clock. I'm really glad that we were able to spend a couple of days in Wanaka because it was one of my favourite places that we stayed in the whole of New Zealand. So we were actually staying in Luggett, which is a little mini complex, like a 5-minute drive from Wanaka Centre. Like a minute's drive from us was Mount Iron, which we climbed, and it was quite a tough climb because it was quite a hot day, but it was really worth it because at the top you get 360-degree view of Wanaka, Luggett and the whole surrounding area, including some of the mountains in Arthur's Pass. You can't go to Wanaka without going to see that Wanaka tree. The Wanaka tree, if you don't know, is a tree that grows in the lake. So when we visited it, the water was out quite a long way, but normally on a good day you can see the base completely submerged, so it looks like it is pretty much in the middle of the lake. Now, the reason that this tree can stay alive is because it's fresh water, not seawater. If it was seawater, it wouldn't be able to survive. And I have a feeling that the roots must be so deep that it's been able to withstand it. But because it's fresh water, it's been able to live pretty happily. One of the benefits of staying in Wanaka was that it was around a 45-minute drive to Queenstown, which was one of the places that we really wanted to go to. We couldn't stay actually in Queenstown because A, it was quite expensive, but also it gets booked up so quickly, mainly because there was a Harley Davidson convention going on the weekend that we went. Queenstown as well is an area that I would happily live in. It's such a lovely town, and you could honestly sit for a very long while by the lake just watching the world go by. It's just stunning. It's got lots of places to eat, lots of things to do. We didn't go to Fergburger because we saw the queue and it was like a 2-hour wait, and we thought, is it worth it? Later we found someone who tried it and said it wasn't worth the 2-hour wait, so we're like, okay, fine. We instead went to Devil Burger, which in my opinion was probably just as good. We then carried on to a lovely Airbnb which was near the bottom of the island. We wanted to go to either Milford or Doubtful Sounds, which is something you must do if you're going to Fiordland, which is on the southwest of the island. So we actually decided to go for Milford this time. Funnily enough, it was less expensive than we thought it was going to be. Doubtful is about double the price, mainly because you have to go boat, bus, boat to get to Doubtful because it's quite far out in the Fiordland, whereas Milford you can go to by car and then you've just got the boat trip. So the place to book your tickets is Te Anau, which is a town, very pretty town, lovely little lake, and some great places to eat as well. One place you must go to is Miles Better, which is a great little pie shop, has some of the most amazing pies. Really worth for a good pit stop if you are on the way to Milford or you're booking your tickets. I would recommend going through Go Orange. They are a fantastic company and they have some great last minute deals. I mean, we managed to get our tickets for the next day for $60 each, which is about £30. I think we booked either a 2 or a 3 o'clock tour, I'm not entirely sure, but from Te Anau you then drive up to Milford Sound. Now, if you have time on the way there, there are some amazing places to stop along the way. However, if you don't, just do them on the way back. This is what we did because we were in a bit of a rush. But when we got there, it was a little bit cloudy, so the visibility wasn't 100%, but you could see most of it. So as I said, the trip is about 3 hours. You go all the way out to the sea and then back again. The trip really flew by. 3 hours sounds a long time, but there's lots of things to see. The staff are amazing. Very professional, informative, but very fun as well. As well as the tour and drinks, you also get food. You get some carrot cake or whatever cake is on for the day. There were lots of waterfalls, which I will touch on in a minute, but firstly I want to talk about the seals because there were some seals sitting on a rock, and it was the first time I'd seen seals in New Zealand. So the waterfalls actually come down from the sides into the water. A little cool fact for you is that the water that falls from there is so fresh you can drink it. And I know this because I drank it. They took the boat right up to one waterfall, soaked the front of the deck and whoever was on there, but they had put a bucket and lots of cups there and they all passed it out to everyone. And it tastes amazing. It just tastes like water, but really fresh. One thing that was quite special for me was that you could just about see the snow-topped mountains in the distance, which was really cool. So I would love to see what it looks like on a really clear day. I think I've told you before about the little key parrots which live in New Zealand. I just wanted to put this clip in because I thought it was really cute. On the way back from Milford Sounds, we stopped on one point and this little key parrot was just sat there. I don't know if he was crying or what he was calling, but I just thought it was really cute, and they are very characterful birds, so I just wanted to put this in. So here you go. So on the way back, we stopped off at a couple of places. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Chasm. This is really cool because this is where some of the water coming down from the mountains have carved some big and some small chasms into the rock, but the shape of the rock is really smooth and curved. We then stopped off at the Mirror Lakes, which is a lovely walk to do, especially at sunset. This is when we went. The water is actually so clear that it reflects the mountains and everything else around it, almost like a mirror. It's very peaceful, and especially when we went, it was very quiet. So this is a lovely walk to kind of finish off your day. Then we went on to the Purakauni Falls. We were then kind of travelling up to Dunedin and to Christchurch, where we were going to be flying out from. These were the last waterfalls that we visited, and they were probably the most crowded waterfalls that we'd been to. However, it is a lovely little walk and a lovely layered waterfall, so it's worth going for a little trip. It's pretty much like a 5-10 minute walk there and back from the falls, so a nice little stop off. Lastly, and one that was pretty cool to finish off the trip with, was we went to a penguin lookout at the Katiki Point Lighthouse. Even though it was a penguin lookout, there was only one penguin. However, there were loads and loads of sea lions. This was really amazing to see, especially some of the baby sea lions playing around in the rock pools by the sea. Now I have to warn you, it really stinks of fish. And it's not an exaggeration, it stinks. But it's just a really cool way to see the sea lions, as we haven't been able to see any up close anyway through the whole trip. To the point where at one point we looked over the edge of the cliff and these two cute little pups were looking back at us, and they were quite high up there on a ridge just below us. And that was amazing. That was really, really cool to see. Right, that is it. That is our whole trip from New Zealand. Pretty much after this, we drove on to Christchurch, did a couple of errands, and then flew out to Bali, which is the next place that I will be showing you. So thank you so much for watching. I really love every single one of you who stops by and watches my videos. So I really hope you've enjoyed this, and I will be back with some more videos, but my next travel vlog will be in Bali. Stay tuned for that, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!